The immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm honored to have a good friend and special guest, Cooper. And you may have seen his YouTube channel. Really glad that you're on here and talking about the subject that we're going to discuss today. I think you might know just a little bit about it, and so thank you for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So yeah, John wanted me to come on here and talk about some of the pros and cons and the struggles and everything that kind of goes along with having a retail store during the whole pandemic, and kind of, what we're trying to do to stay afloat and what the issues we're facing are and stuff like that. So
how have you been? I mean, how have you been with all this?
It's kind of weird. It's I think that's the best way to put it. I know that certain stores in different areas face different types of struggles, and I feel like our situation is slightly different just because we do have our YouTube channel, which helps to support the store, and we have people watching every day that end up wanting to sell us stuff or buy stuff from us. So that is a big help. And for stores that don't really have that, it's even more of a struggle. So we're very, very fortunate to have that kind of support structure. But yeah, it hasn't been easy.
So you have a fairly new store, correct?
Yeah, we opened, the store's called Double Jump Video Games. We're in Vancouver, Washington. We opened in August of 2018.
Okay.
And so it's almost been 2 years.
Yeah.
This is not what you want to happen in your first 2 years of business, but what can you do? But yeah, we've been around for 2 years. I've personally been collecting and buying and selling and stuff since 2008. So I've been doing it for a long time. Always wanted to open a store, and finally the time was right.
Well, and that's great. And you were selling games. I know that we met before that. You were selling games, and then finally took the plunge to open up your own store. So how long have you been selling video games?
So I started around 2008.
Okay,
and
quite a long time ago.
Yeah, I kind of just stumbled into it. I'll tell the story. It's kind of long, but I'll tell it really quickly. I was cleaning my bedroom, and I found a Sega Genesis under my bed. Don't remember ever owning one, but there was one there. And I was like, maybe I can sell this. And I looked up on Craigslist for people buying video games. I found someone, and they came and picked it up. And I was like, that was kind of cool. It was fun. And so I started going to thrift stores and finding stuff, and I started building my collection at that point, but I was also selling duplicates and stuff like that to kind of fund it, because I was still in high school at the time, didn't have a job, So just kind of snowballed from there.
So open up a new store, a couple of years in, bam, COVID hits.
Yeah.
And how is that? So what's been the biggest impact, like sales and stock wise? We'll start with sales. Are sales up or down for you right now?
Since we are physically closed, we're still in the process of doing curbside pickup and stuff like that. So overall, sales are down, but especially when you look at certain categories or certain consoles, sales on PS2, PS3, Xbox 360, original Xbox, that stuff is way, way down. And What's making
sales down for that for you?
I think it's just that people can't come in and browse.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the PS3 and Xbox 360, for example, the majority of the games we have are $3 to $5. And they're the type of games that people will come in, they'll browse, they'll pick out, 5 or 6 games, and they'll be on their way. But when they have to look through a website, or they have to go through Facebook messages to kind of see what we have, the people that take the time to do that usually are collectors. They're not your casual gamers who would just walk in and buy a few things.
I love to rummage. I love to go. You got a great store. I've gone in it. It's well organized. And I think that's really important that you bring that up, because I'm the type of collector. For Father's Day, my wife took me to your store and a few others to do some game hunting. And I saw on your website your product, and that's great. But there were some things that I'm really glad that I was able to, by appointment, come in and see in person. And I know that there's people watching this video that's really important, that they see something, they have it in their hands, they, see the condition, because everybody's different on that, and some people like rummaging through things and seeing it in person is like part of the fun. Like, I didn't know at the start of the day what I wanted to add to the collection. And so that's part of the thrill. I know on your YouTube channel that's part of the fun. Like, you recently had a road trip and you didn't know what you maybe knew some of the things you're going to pick up, but like, you probably didn't know everything you were going to pick up going to these stores and finding what they have in person. And so, yeah, that's a tough one. I think that's really an issue right now, because you can't replace that online. You can have the same items, but it's not the same experience.
Yeah.
Hard to hear about that. So how about stock? Like, how's stock dealing with game stock right now?
So when this whole thing started, everyone was kind of, forced to stay home a lot of the time. People aren't going into work. And then, piling on top of that, people are getting extra money on their unemployment and they get their stimulus checks. And just I see that there's more buyers coming into the video game market, but the stock is remaining the same. So prices on stuff has skyrocketed. It's been really, really crazy. And it's not on everything, but it is on a lot of stuff. And it is on all the stuff that people want. All the Mario, Zelda, Pokemon games, they've all just gone crazy price-wise. And so
game stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff has been really, really difficult to get again, because of course, right when it hit, prices shot up. We started selling everything we had. We sold 70 copies of Wii Sports.
70. 70. Holy
and
cow.
Close to 60 copies of Mario Kart Wii. And those are like piles of games that we had been saving up since before we opened, and we never thought we'd run out of them. But we're at the point now where we don't have any copies of Wii Sports, and as soon as we get one, we put it up on our website and it sells overnight, which didn't ever expect that. So the hardest part about the stock has been, it's not necessarily selling those items, because we did have some at the beginning, but now the problem is we can't get them back. And when we can find them, because we're not getting our normal trade-ins because we're not open, so we have to look elsewhere. And some of those games that at the beginning of the pandemic we sold for like $20-25, now we have to pay $30 or $35 to get it back, and then we have to, charge even more than that. So it sucks, and we try to keep our prices pretty fair. So that makes it a little more difficult, because we have to find deals. We can't just go and replace it.
Yeah, and used games, and people may not realize this, but like there is a price point that's too high at times. When people come in and like see a common game that was common maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and now it's double, triple the price. I've seen this time and time again. And so it's not always great when prices are super high for game store owners, because then it's hard to move a product, because the current price is pricing it out of demand. But right now, there's not enough supply to appease demand, is from what I hear. And so people are just paying it because it's like, well, I'm stuck at home, or I'm not able to game hunt. I'm looking for this particular game and this particular game, or this is what I want to do to keep my mind off things. So wow,
it's been really weird.
Weird is right, and definitely I really appreciate people such as you that are really offering a great game experience. I know that you don't just do video games, you do like accessories and plushies, and what other things do you offer at your store?
So when we first opened, the plan was to have the main focus always be video games, but we also did like toys, like vintage action figures and lunch boxes and just all sorts of stuff like that. And then we were also doing VHS and cassette tapes and vinyl.
Awesome.
And our store is not that big, so we quickly had to start cutting some of those sections, unfortunately, because the video game stuff is the main focus. That was growing and growing and taking over more. So we cut down to just video games and toys. I loved having the vinyl and the VHS and the cassette tapes, and I can find a lot of that stuff. But it wasn't selling as much as we would need it to take up the amount of space in the store that it did. So we had to
Things
cut those
have to move.
sections.
Things have to move in a small store, and
Yeah.
but I think it's good and it's important that people know that by diversifying your stock, especially if you're a store owner, it's going to help you. And you have to find out what your individual market is. I've several game store owners, and some of them expanded their stores and inventory into more variety to survive. And you
Yeah.
have to find out what this sounds to me like you've done that to survive. And so, what has been the biggest? So, if I was to ask you, what has been the biggest stress of this pandemic and having a store that you would want people to know, or like, or I guess, what's your biggest stress?
So ours is probably going to be different from other stores because we do have the website and we have our YouTube channel that helps a lot. But the biggest stress has been, for me personally at least so far, has been getting ready to reopen.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of rules and stuff that we have to follow in order to reopen and do it, the legal proper way. And a lot of these things are like hot button issues with a lot of people, and people, some people don't want to wear a mask, or they don't want to be limited to having a certain number of people in the store at a time. And I get all that, of course, but I'm stressful. I'm stressed about the kind of customer interactions that we might have with people when we ask them to, to please wear a mask or to do whatever, which these are, it's not our rules. It's the governor's rules that we have to follow. And just dealing with that kind of stuff, we haven't done it yet because we haven't reopened, but I assume it's not going to be a lot of fun.
You're doing curbside, correct? You're doing curbside service?
Yeah, so luckily we were able to take the time of being forced to be closed and switch our entire inventory into a new system, which is almost an impossible task at this point because there's tens of thousands of items and every single one has to be accounted for. It has to be re-entered, repriced, all that kind of stuff. There's no possible way we could have done it if we were still open. We would have had to close to do it anyway. So we decided to take the time we had to do that. And in that process, it allowed us to launch our website, which has been incredible. And we get a lot of sales from people who watch our YouTube videos, which is amazing. We have a lot of friends and stuff that buy, but we also have people who are local who are buying from the website because we promoted it through the videos, but also through our Facebook and our Instagram for the store. And so we have people that make purchases on there, and then they can select local pickup as their shipping option, and then they come to the store and pick it up. So we are actually still at the store 5 days a week.
Okay.
We're usually there from about 1:30 to 8 p.m. And we're just using that time to continue working on the store. We've added new shelving. We've moved things around where, the plushies you mentioned, we started carrying those, which have, those have been doing really, really well for us. But yeah, there's just so much stuff to do, but curbside has been cool. We get to see some of our local customers, some of our regulars. They will make an order and, we'll meet them at the door, chat for a few minutes, and it's been cool. So I am excited to reopen, but there's still so much to do.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on because I think it's important for people to hear from a store owner the stress, how you're making it to survive. And so I want to really appreciate, where can people find you on YouTube and as well as online?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel called Sick Cooper. It's SICCOOPER. And we just do daily vlogs of our life, mostly revolving around the game store and collecting and stuff like that, because that's primarily what we're doing all the time. But so that's us on YouTube. Our store is called Double Jump Video Games. We're located in Vancouver, Washington. We have a Facebook and Instagram for the store, and then we also have our website where you can make purchases on there. We ship stuff out. It's just doublejumpvideogames.com.
Great. And as always, I really appreciate you being on. I know that we've talked many times, and please check out his channel, as well as make sure to hit the subscribe button, as well as click the bell so you get notified of new videos coming up as I produce every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the Immortal John Hancock. Thank you so much for watching, and you take care.